All right. Welcome, everybody. HD Philly B here alongside Noctastera. Knock, last time you and I got together was for the PCC All-Star match where you and I played against some of the best in the business. But now it's great to be on the desk with you today for the Brotherhood Friendly Cup number 6. And we have a great matchup with some of the stalwarts, just like the hosts were saying there in Margot Robbie, Team Blax, even D-Dog. I've played against D-Dog a number of times, a great offlaner in their own right. So glad to see them out there in the scene once more. My friend, what are you looking forward to in this match?
Yeah, I mean, there are some pretty high-ranked players on both sides, and a couple players that have some interesting picks. I'll hold off on speaking until we get into draft, but I think this is definitely going to be one of the more interesting matches, right? Sometimes with BFC, there are a bunch of like unknown players, and that's always fun to watch. But I think for a lot of people, they love tuning in for a lot of these sort of high, well-known named matchups. So you got Simba, you got BN Bears Magarabi, who bit of a rebrand is now Ferguson. You'll see that in game. But I think all of these players, a couple of like swapped around roles. Simba, obviously, sometimes it's carry, sometimes mid, sometimes the dude's off in the off lane, and he will be our mid laner today. But Ferguson, obviously, that carry that we've been seeing a lot of. BN Bear is a very prolific jungler, so I think I'm excited just to see if both teams are going to be able to sort of throw that skill into the blender and get close games that are really fun to watch without being too much of a stomp.
Yeah, and folks, as a reminder, this is a captain's draft, right? So we had a number of captains selected, then we had a number of people sign up to participate in the event, and then the captains drafted their own team. So these squads have had a number of weeks to practice, kind of gel together, and hopefully, we'll see the fruits of their labor in these matchups today. What I'm more excited for is kind of the meta has had some time to shake out a little bit after the most recent patch. So I'm seeing the likes of Greystone being heavily picked here time and time again, especially in the jungle role. So far, I haven't really seen him be successful, right? Just because they did get a buff doesn't mean that they're going to be the best character in the scene now. But a lot of folks have been using Greystone as that kind of front line. Noct, what other characters have you been seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing some. Skylar obviously has been a bit of that up and down pick on her release because of it's a bug for right click on her towers.
Mhm.
Not balanced, I think, to say the least. Melting towers, melting waves, doing way too much. After those hot fixes, I think she's in a much more reasonable state. I think there are also a lot of other good carries, so I don't think she's sort of this pick or ban. Gonna see her every draft. But I think she's still quite good. But we have been seeing some of those crit carries, a couple on hit carries. I think the carry role is in a really good spot right now, actually. I think they did a really good job, especially with those new items. We've been seeing a lot of the Kira, a lot of the Twin Blast, a lot of the Drongo have been some of those 3 big picks. Twin Blast can be running all of those different builds. He has the on hit build, he has that lethality build. I've seen a couple people pick up this sort of hybrid crit build. Kira still building sort of that crit / on hit that she usually does. The Sky Splitter, the Spectra, you obviously like the Vanquisher. I have been seeing a lot of the Solaris on her though. That is something I don't know if we're gonna see, but I think would be very interesting if it does get locked today. That new Spellblade item I think is really cool.
Yeah, definitely some of those new additions to the item list definitely coming into fruition. I know there's a couple that have been on Gadget that are really lethal there. So if Gadget does get played this tournament, we'll probably see some of those newer builds coming online as well. Yeah, I'm excited to get into the draft and see what these folks are selecting here as we hop into it now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Team Blax versus Team Margot Robbie. This is a fantastic draft screen, and right off the bat, Team Blax bans the Fang Mao.
Yeah, they just do not want to see that. It's really funny too because they're like, "Is Feng Mao mid very good? No. If it's in Simba's hands, is it still terrifying? Absolutely." So I'm not surprised to see that banned out at all. I'd imagine we see at least 1 or 2 bans focused towards that carry role, given that there's quite a bit of respect being given to these sort of named players. I would also expect to see probably maybe a jungle ban towards, and there's Team Margarabi banning out the Sevarog there from BN Bears. Sevarog has been one of those picks that we've been seeing a lot of recently in the jungle and the off lane. Tank items after their buffs and the gold value feel a lot better to play. It doesn't feel like you're just getting one shot as a tank anymore. And Severog being able to scale very well and be able to be a flex pick has been one of the most prolific benefiters of those changes.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I've been seeing Sevrog in a lot of my games. They do take some time to get online, but that's usually not a problem for players such as these. Also with the Fang Mao, I think that the desk was saying sports are cool. He was kind of Fang Mao one trick, so just a double respect band there in terms of these teams doing their research on the opposition. But we do have Richter as the first pick here for Teams Black, and that makes sense. I mean, Richter has been all over the place. He's in such a good spot right now, just yanking people left and right. Feels so good. He can play any role. He can play off
Yeah.
lane. He can play jungle. You can even see him in the mid. Not that these players will do that, but yeah, he can be anywhere. So great opening pick.
Yeah, definitely. One of those big benefits of the one of the newest items we've seen a lot on supports has been very, very good recently is that Void Conduit. Very good on heroes like Narbash on the Richter as well. Richter being able to benefit so much off of those buffs to the gold value on support, especially using so many of those items that have gone down in gold value. And as a response, we are going to see the Decker, probably the second best support right now. A lot less of a flex pick, pretty much guaranteed to go support, and the Terra locked in as well.
Yeah, a great opener here from Margot Robbie securing the Decker. I mean, if folks, if you've seen me and Dr. Shadowcast, you know we always say ban the Decker. So they are able to secure it though this time around. And now in response here, my friend, we are seeing the Steel and the Fae. The Fae definitely going to go in the mid lane, but the Steel, he could be running support. He could be going in the off lane, could be going in the jungle. So another pick where Team Blax is not showing their hand all the way.
Yeah, and being able to have those flex picks is nice, although I'd imagine that Steel is probably going to go either offlane or support. Steel jungle, as of recent, has not been as strong as it was, back in the day, even with those buffs to Fire Blossom and Brimstone. I still think Richter just has way better clear. So I'd imagine, given their pick so far, that Steel is either going to be support or offlane. And given that it can be a very rough matchup into the Decker, I'd imagine that is going to be a Steel offlane, probably.
Yeah, I think I would tend to agree. And Margot Robbie immediately they're picking up the Twin Blast, which I've seen time and time again.
Yeah.
I mean, he got a little bit of buff to his on hit scalability there, and then they banned out the Drongo in response, just limiting the carry pool just that much more.
Yeah, and this is what I've been saying a lot recently, right? The Drongo, the Twin Blast, the Kira, the Skylar. These are sort of these four picks that have just been popping up more and more and more. You also see a little bit of that Murdoch. Less of the Sparrow nowadays as you used to, but anyone who can go into that sort of Spectra item, it has been very prolific, or other strong items that don't necessarily rely on that. Also, Margot Robbie, kind of known for that Twin Blast, right? Two of the best picks to see them on are that Wraith and that Twin Blast, so I'm not too shocked to see that early on. We're going to see the Howitzer ban as well. I like that, taking away one of Faye's main counters and giving them sort of a lot of pressure towards the mid lane. Gadget unbanned, however, and that's been a very strong pick recently, so I wonder if we're going to see that.
Yeah, I mean, and so they've made some adjustments to her, right? They've tried to kind of balance her out a little bit more, but still, she's finding her way onto rosters time and time again, just still very lethal. And there it is, my friend. As you predicted, the Gadget picked up in the mid lane, and I'm sure that's a matchup we'll be talking a lot about as these two will be poking each other out.
Yeah, and Gadget has just been such a strong mid laner after all the item buffs, but also just because of how much damage she deals and from how far away you can put out that damage makes her incredibly safe. And already having this many threats, right? You have the Richter, the Steel, the Fae. These are heroes where if you get caught out, you're going to get CC'd, you're going to die. The stasis might be able to buy you some time, but any CC is extremely lethal when it can be followed up this easily. And we're going to see the Kira, and like you said, the Greystone, something that's been popping up a lot. So it could still be a bit flex, right? You could still see like Steel support, Gray off lane, Richter jungle, maybe that lineup, but I think it's pretty set in stone that Steel's going off lane because of the Decker, can't really jungle. And between the two picks, I'd imagine that we're not seeing Greystone support, so I'd imagine that's going towards the jungle.
Yeah, I liked your pun there, set in stone for the Greystone there to be going into the jungle. A huge front line here, and our final pick is Crunch. This is a curveball here, my friend. Crunch, Yeah, he's kind of had some adjustments, but still, I feel like has a lot of weaknesses that can be exploited here. I think what they're going to be looking to do is maybe set the tempo in the jungle because Crunch can be very quick to do some clears and start up some ganks early. So maybe that they're trying to just go for some early picks and kind of set themselves in a snowball that way.
Yeah, and compared to the Greystone, I think Crunch is just a lot more aggressive, especially early on. Doesn't have as great of that jungle clear, but can come into your lane very quick ganks. His cooldowns are pretty low as well. So there's no real timer that he's waiting on for ganks. You can go gank into gank into gank and use that to try and get priority to invade or maybe set the Greystone behind and farm. But if you do end up getting behind on that Crunch, it can be dangerous. So we'll see what we have. But for right now, I think that has been our draft. Let us get into game. It should be ready. Hop right in.
Alrighty, folks, and we are here on the Sanctuary. We do have is Team Ferguson, Team Margot, Robbie versus Team Blax, the Legend, as folks are kind of getting their starting items and hopping into the lanes. Seeing just the tab screen for now, but let's see if we can get that situated for you all.
I think interestingly, we do see the Greystone in the jungle. We are seeing that steal off lane, something that we were kind of expecting. But I like the I like the matchup here. I like the Greystone into the Crunch because I think it's a very interesting way to play the game, right? I think one of them is relying a lot on sort of CC from your laners instead of from your laners, where one has sort of set up for themselves, right? The Crunch obviously wants to be the one going in, starting up those ganks, where the Greystone wants to be the one following up.
Yeah, and there's just so much beef there on the side of D-Dog and the crew. I mean, with the Greystone, with the steals, with the Richter, the HP pool is massive. But right now, D-Dog, he's getting dangerously low, and I think he might get caught out here. And there it is, the first blood. Sports are cool. Secures it for the squad.
Yeah, nice plays there from Sports are cool. The Terra just so strong early on, and Steel, you scale up very well. You do a lot of damage. You're very tanky once you get that Brimstone, once you get a couple items online. But Terra still does so much damage, especially with that Ruthless Assault, with that added true damage. You kind of just melt people early, and if you're not showing respect to that, it can be bad. But now, onto the Twin Blast.
Okay, and there's a dash and a dash follow-up from the two captains going at it, punching for punch. But Margot Robbie is able to get out and go back to the fountain, but a quick skirmish over here for the side of Blax, the Legend, and they come out on top.
Yeah, and with both backs coming in, there's some, but now another gank in the mid lane.
Yeah, it's just absolute mayhem already here in the Brotherhood Friendly Cup. No love lost as these teams are just going at it. A quick gank there from the gank in the jungle onto the Greystone will send him back. He's not going to be doing too much here early on.
No, and that's something interesting to note, right? Once you get these blinks down, especially on the Greystone, it makes ganking so much harder, right? Because after you use your leap, after you use those slows, anyone who's able to make distance can get away from you quite easily. The Crunch has a little bit of an easier time because if you go in, you can stun someone, you get some red buff slows on them, you get some slows from your abilities, you get a lot of damage. Even if they do blink, it's a bit easier to run them down, right? The Greystone, a lot less of a chance, so having that blink down is going to be a lot worse for him.
And we know these folks are keeping track of those timers in their respective chats, so we will see those rotations hopefully pay some dividends there for each of these teams. D-Dog now back into his side. He's going for the bull rushes. Sports are cool, is very low. The shield slap just barely whiffs, and Sports is able to back off just for now.
Yeah, and I mean, if that shield bash lands, I think Sports are cool is definitely at least forced to blink, if not dead. Given that D-Dog does still have the blink up, right? Didn't use it early on, just died. So, the Terra does have to be careful. Very low mana, very low health as well. So not going to be able to fight it out. But now an invade here from Dino.
Yeah, and that's exactly what that Crunch is going to want to do, just because of how quickly they can clear those camps. He can kind of go for that 5, kind of beat it up, and then just dash out of there. Ferguson and Piscarello also helping him out there. But for now, we have folks grouping up. The Fangtooth should be coming online here in just a few seconds, so they might be getting ready for that.
Yeah, and I'd imagine both teams are going to start positioning towards that, given how early game focused a lot of their fights are right now. Don't get me wrong; those mages do have pretty good scaling, but both of the supports, both of those carries, both of those junglers have very strong early game damage and relatively strong early game health bars. Right? Obviously, the Richter and the Greystone pretty tanky. Decker not the tankiest, but has pretty good base stats for a ranged support, right? As well as the Crunch, pretty good mix of that bruiser stats as well, and I think that if both teams are trying to fight over the Fangtooth, it's really going to be the team with priority that's going to be able to take it, right? Because of how evenly matched they are.
There we go. Monarch just taking a nice Riplash, finding Piscarillo once again, and they have to just retreat to the safety of their tower. They are being pressured so heavily over here in the duo lane. I mean, they are just having free reign to hit any creep that they want here, Team Blax.
Yeah. And I think this is really important to note, right, is the lower you get this Decker, if you can force out a back with your jungler still on this side of the map, it's pretty much a free Fangtooth, right? Because you're forcing them to come in late. You're forcing them to come in at lower numbers. And even if that support does get back in time, they're all going to be rushing in when that Fang is already, 1.5 thousand health. They're at risk of it being smited, so they don't get to find that angle. They don't get to wait for a good moment. They just have to go for it and take a lot of risks that they really don't want to be taking if they choose to contest it, or you just get it for free. So being able to get this priority early on is extremely strong, and you can see Greystone hovering towards mid lane now, wants to get the priority there as well.
Yeah, and Gadget definitely a gankable target. They don't have any mobility in their own right, but here is Dino. He's looking to come through the fog wall, but does he get spotted out by a ward? He does, so he'll just do a little bit of janitorial duty, go for a quick back as they look to set up, but that priority is all so important. Oh no, could he get caught out here? The forward crunch is able to get him out of dodge, but that's some crucial seconds wasted for the side of our boxing robot. I do want to go back to that priority like you mentioned. That is what comes down to higher level predecessor play. You're thinking 5 steps ahead, like we've talked about before. This is a moving chess match, right? You can't just be thinking about what am I doing in lane. You have to think about, okay, what am I doing in lane to prepare for the next fight, to prepare for the next objective. So you always got to be thinking multiple steps ahead, and just getting the Decker low to send them back is one of those options to do so.
Yeah, and the Gadget backed as well. And I'm kind of surprised that they didn't start up that Fang after that mid gank, right? What they did have to use the Fae ult, so they won't have that for the fight, but they got the Gadget ult. They got Gadget's blink, and Gadget was so low that they were forced to back out. Now, fight in the off lane, D-Dog popping pretty low.
Yeah, is able to use the blast cone there to affect, able to get back to the safety of his tower and back, but once again, forced to the fountain. Another Riplash connects the skewer as well. Piscarillo could be gone out of this world, and they are blown to smithereens as Black the Legend finds a kill here in the duo lane. That'll be going right to the gold buff for them.
Yeah, and a bit of a wasted blink there for Piscarillo. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, you're already so low. Maybe you get out, but I'm pretty sure that Kira hadn't used the Dusk yet. You already have those stacks on you, so even if you do get out to safety, I'm pretty sure the second that comes up, you're just dead anyway. So I don't really understand that. I think it's a bit of a waste, but apparently their team does have priority on the Fang now with those backs, and they should know, but they don't want to go for it just yet, running a risk of them coming back. But Dino's looking mid.
There he goes with the knockup as well, and here have a little bit of a fashion statement, but no, the blink was up for the fairy, and she was able to get themselves back to safety. But now we're looking over to our dinosaur, as that is where the next battle will commence. Some of the vision for both squads still available, as we see Piscarello just walking over a ward. So the opposition, Blax the Legend, do know that this Fangtooth is being started, but will it be burned quickly enough before the fight breaks out? It looks like everybody will be posturing now. How do they decide to engage with a couple of key ultimates down, like the skewer? I believe the fly trap.
I think they're going to give it.
Yeah, they just give it up. Yeah, no. I mean,
sports are cool on the roam, right? So you can't really fight it.
That is fair. That is a good point. So the first Fangtooth, not the hugest deal in the world, especially because teams Black the Legends, they've been controlling the river buffs pretty heftily. So it doesn't even matter if your team can't even secure those minor objectives.
Yeah, and one of the big parts of that roam, right, that on that Steel, because Steel sort of fell behind early, trying to fight for priority is a lot harder. So it's a lot easier for Terra to make those early roams, right? To just secure that Fangtooth. And I don't think that Team Black's even wanted to try and contest. Monarch missing the hook, though.
The Iron Strike just whiffing there as well. A key ultimate, the Stasis Bomb, the boot combination does not connect either. Piscarillo trying their darndest to have some lockdown here so they can get some priority in this dual lane, but just not coming up with the goods. And now it looks like the mini prime will be started here by Bears.
Yeah, and they might be able to come back and try and fight that, but the Terra rotating over, it looks like they want to just try and make a play on left side. I don't know if they're even going to rotate over for that. Dino probably just going to farm it up and give this over, given that they haven't rotated anyone ever. They don't even have vision on it, I believe. So Bien Bears should just be able to secure this relatively easily.
Yeah, did take some time to do so. They took some damage as well, but Faye in the mid lane there, just getting hacked into oblivion. The Forest Fairy does not like the axe being tossed at them, and that's another kill going the way of Margot Robbie and the squad.
Yeah, and Tricky Nicky there just not respecting the missing Terra, stepping up without blink, without any real way to get out, and just being secured pretty easily. Even the tower isn't enough, right? When you get that low and you're already wasting the blink. But Monarch, stasis bomb.
Getting really low there, and blax stepping up to kind of protect his support, also going dangerously low as well. Another jump stasis bomb from the side of Piscaralio, but not able to connect. But the boxing robot is taking a little bit of a flank. He's diving under the tower, the forward crunch, the knockup as well. And there it is, the warden of the duo lane sent back to the fountain.
Yeah, really nice call for a dive there from Dino. Seeing that those health bars are really low, seeing that they don't have the resources to defend themselves, being able to wrap around before the Greystone can get there, and then get out of dodge before he comes back.
Uh-oh, D-Dog in a bit of a sticky situation as the Terra just hacking into slashing. They are bending that steel over. The Bull Rush does come through, but will it be enough? No, he is just gonna have to go back with the dive from Sports Are Cool. No, oh yes he does, the shield pass, the shield slam, the knockup, and the turnaround. It was all bait and switch from the side of the D-Dog. He said, here's a trick, and there's the treat. He finds himself a kill.
Yeah. I really like that play there, right? I thought at the start, why do you keep fighting this? Why do you keep fighting this? And then I see, Steel still has that ult up. If he can bait Sports Are Cool into that dive, it should be a pretty easy one there, and really nice there. Now Tricky Nicky in the mid lane, though.
Ooh, I mean,
out before I can stop talking, damn.
A juicy target is that fairy without the blink and online. I mean, Dino, he can just easily forward crunch into the knockup there, and the Fae can just be blown up as you saw. So a nice piece of skill from the crunch. They're really making that curveball pick work.
Yeah, and the crunch, this is something that we've talked about earlier on. This is something you see a lot of crunch games happen, right? You either get ahead early or you really start to struggle, but if you get ahead early, when you get that snowball rolling, it can be absolutely devastating. Monarch, though.
The Beyblade is ripped. It has to force out the blinks as well. The nice stasis bomb to lock him down in another turn of events as Ferguson, aka Margot Robbie, has turned the tides now. It's Monarch who's running for their live hat, and the heat lamp tossed in as well. The greatest invention unleashed here for the side of Simba. The hook into the tower to try to turn it around, but the Simba, the king of the jungle, comes up with the goods once again.
Yeah, that was a really nice bomb there, too, from Piscarello, right? Hitting both players right as the Kira dashed in, made sure that there was no follow-up, that there was no damage, and that Ferguson was just going to be able to pick up that kill and get out. And then Monarch now runs the risk, obviously, doesn't have the blink anymore, doesn't have any more of those resources, so was forced back away, but Simba was already on the roam, was already there to catch him right after the blink.
The first tower of the game, folks, going down there in the off lane, and it looks like the mid lane tower for blax the Legends team is on a sliver of hell, so that all important mid tower will be looking to get pressured out very soon here. But for now, the Fangtooth, the second one of the game, has been resurrected, so you will be seeing the teams kind of corralling themselves to get that all important priority around the pit, and you can see that Margot Robbie and squad are setting up some good vision for this fight.
Yeah, and you can see Team Ferguson already on that Fang priority. You can see the entire jungle is also lit up as well. You just see blue wards, blue eyes everywhere. Bien Bears stepping forward, but just eating poke for his troubles. Can't really walk in alone. And both offlaners fighting once again. D-Dog popping pretty low there. Has to be careful.
Absolutely, that mid tower did go down through all of that, and another stasis bomb does connect the vaporize as well. Dino is lurking. The dinosaur wants to find the breakfast, and he does. A swing of the fist takes down the warden once again. Now Blax the Legend's in trouble. Here's a dive, but a little too late there from BN Bears. But can he turn the tide? The Stoneforge Soul does connect, and the support in the Decker does go down. The fairy here for the little bit of backup will get smacked into oblivion, but now Will's Bears be able to get out of dodge. Yes, the leap to assault the gates gets them to safety, but at what cost?
Yeah, at what cost indeed. A 3-for-1 fight in favor of Team Ferguson, and they're going to turn their eyes right back towards that Fang Tooth. Going to be 2 Fangs up, and I think that was really good of Team Ferguson just to recognize the priority they had, recognize that BN Bear stepping forward, eating all that poke, and Ferguson receiving nothing in return means that he was probably alone. They're probably going to be able to push in there, that they're going to be able to take that fight in the left side, and that the team is scattered right now, that they're not going to be able to respond, and they were absolutely correct.
This is why Doc and I always say ban the Decker. I mean, the amount of abilities in their kit to be able to lock folks down is just insane. And so even Piscarillo, if they miss the stasis bomb, they can just put up the containment fence, lock some people in, and then the damage can come through. So just absolutely well done there from the support. But Dino just doing such a good job rotating around the map, using the speed of that crunch to great effect and facilitate their team. We did talk about how the jungles were going to be all important in this matchup here, as once again, there's some more skirmishing here in the offlane.
Yeah, and the Steel now finished with that Thista Azul as well as the Tainted Guard, and give him a lot of health and armor, but still not quite a match for the Terra.
Ooh, the shield slam has to be expended to try to get out, but he goes back in with the slap. I don't know, maybe he should have just tried to get away, and Sports Are Cool comes up with another kill there in the offlane. D-Dog just getting bullied over there. We do have Monarch, though, caught out. The bomb does go in to slow him, but could he go in for the skewer? The Ripwalker as well, but where's the follow-up? The Kira is there, but did not use the ultimate. Now Monarchy's going to be turning tail and running. The fly trap there to lock Piscarillo down, and it only allows Ferguson, a.k.a. Margot Robbie, to try to escape. He does do the dash away. Will he be able to survive? No, the stinging nettles hits him right in the keister, and he gets a quick trip back to the fountain.
Yeah, what looked like an originally good fight gets turned really nice Riftwalker into Skewer there from Monarch. They got the damage down, weren't confident enough to keep going for that, but once they have the rotate from their mid laner, once Tricky Nicky gets there, they force the blink out of the Twin Blast, they get the kill with that Fly Trap, and Ferguson on the run, it's only a matter of time before he's taken out, right? Doesn't have that dash anymore, doesn't have the blink. Kira just takes that Shadow Glide, goes in, gets the slow, gets some autos, and takes it out. Really nice play there to sort of recover from a bit of a poor early game. Have to be careful though, right? You can see they got a bit of an ego there, walking up to Simba now, just not respecting the damage, popping very low, and Blax is forced back.
But here comes Dino. He's smelling blood in the water. Maybe he'll think better of it for now, and does. They're just going to be putting some vision up here, doing some de-warding. I believe in all of that, the second mini prime of the game may have gone down, but it's D-Dog once again under duress. Yes, the Terra is the one with the buff, so they will gladly take the fight under the tower this time. And once again, D-Dog put to the pound and sent back to the fountain.
Yeah, and I think D-Dog really just isn't showing respect to this tower, right? Thinking that you have that health, you have that armor, surely you can take it out, but you're down a lot of levels, you're down a lot of gold, you're down the mini prime, very hard to take out. Being chased out now.
Another skewer does connect there, and Sports Are Cool. That's a healthy bounty going the way of Monarch. Maybe not the best person that you want all that gold going to, but it's gold nonetheless. A nice injection there could get them to their next item. We might have another skirmish here as Simba is looking to support the rest of the squad. The Leaping Salt does come through, but Monarch, he's been turned to scrap metal there by Ferguson, and there we go. The security gate dropped once again. Now the rest of the team following up, and that's a 2-for-1 trade there over on the blue side.
Yeah, they caught out the Terra, and that was really good, but they sort of took the dangerous road back towards that mid lane when they already knew they didn't have prio, knew that Team Ferguson was just walking it up, being able to catch them out as well, right? The Decker stasis bomb, you put them in the containment fence, and there's really not a lot they can do. There's nowhere to run. They can't go back. They can't go forward. All they can do is sort of march to their deaths. You can use all your abilities to buy a little bit of time, right? Obviously, the Greystone with that Stoneforge Soul is able to try and slow, get the rest of his team out, but the second you slam back down, you're going to be in the middle of 4 people, And, without a blink, without the assault the gates, there really is no getting out.
Yeah, just the writing was on the wall there for Team Blax the Legends over on the blue side jungle. But for now, there was a trade in towers. Margot Robbie and squad were able to take the tier 2 in the mid lane. They traded it just for the tier 1 in the duo side as Blax the Legend decided not to go in for the fight, just get a little extra farm because he knows he's got to be able to do the deadlift here and carry a squad to victory if they're going to be looking to get back into this.
Yeah, and I think if you are on Team Black's, what you're looking at right now, right? You're looking at that Greystone being able to dive the backline. You're looking at big fly traps, right? That's your big way to win those team fights is to secure the CC, right? Get the fly trap. Use that skewer as well to follow up on it. Try and get the chain CC down, get those wombo combos out, and be able to follow up on them.
I would also like to see the steal get involved. I know it's really tough, but there is that wombo combo you were talking about. Yes, the fly trap expended. Now the greatest invention dropped upon the head of the fairy. They're able to fly their way out of it. The security gate for a little extra speed, and it is Dino who's running rampant over here in the mid lane, and Margot Robbie, aka Ferguson, coming up with the goods with a double kill over there. It's only the steal now. He's like, oh crap, there's something I got to do, and it's go to the Fangtooth.
Yeah. And, even like I said, would be nice to see those fly traps, but I guess I was wrong because even with a great fly trap, the fight just gets turned. Some amazing bursts there, right? The Decker was able to land that double stasis bomb. Then you just throw in all the bombs from the Twin Blast. You throw in the hat. You throw in all that damage, and a double kill just comes out before they can actually respond. The Sewer, dropped as well. Good chain CC, but they just don't have the damage to follow up on it yet. So even with a good wombo combo, they're still so far behind in this game that I think you really need to slow it down, start freezing these waves, start just giving the objectives, and realizing that you need at least another item or two before you're able to fight. Because if a fly trap wombo combo with a skewer, with all that damage, can't even secure a single kill, you need to find something.
Yeah, it's looking dire over here. There's not many more objectives that they can give as the third Fangtooth went the way of Margot Robbie, that all-important stat buff to all the attack and the defense. That's like getting an extra item online, and I believe they only have one tier 2 left standing, so at this point they're going to be going for the inhibs, my friend. So they're really and firmly on the back foot here is Team Blax the Legend.
Yeah, and you can see Team Ferguson is just waiting in the fog. They're just waiting in that jungle. They don't even want to go towards the orb yet. They're just daring someone to walk in, daring someone to come and fight them.
Yeah, for now, though, they took the resources that they could get. Dino barely getting out there. But yeah, they took the resources from the jungle. I think that's great because that prevents Blax the Legend to even get back into this. There's nothing to farm. There's no buffs to get, right? So now they do have priority over there. They can start putting down some vision. But on the flip side, in the dual lane, we have the Terra pushing the creeps. Once again, they want to get that final tier 2 down.
Yeah, and if they're able to, that's going to be sort of a massive effort, right? Once you're pushed into your inhibs, you don't have as much defense anymore, right? You can't run back to those outer towers. You can only run back to your base, right? Which is right at the entrance of the jungle. So if you don't have that priority, if you don't have at least waves pushed, every time you want to go into your own jungle, every time you want to step past the outline of your base, you're risking getting caught. You're risking someone just jumping out of that fog wall, taking you in, and killing you before you can respond, before you can even get vision down. And being able to deny all of that space means that as a team, you just sort of have to walk together. And to do that, you have to give up gold. You have to give up wave priority. You have to give up so much that you can't afford to give up.
Yeah, it's really tough. The map has been shrinking around Teams Blax the Legend. Some of the other things that I've been looking at while you're doing your analysis is the level disparity right now. If you're looking at Greystone in the jungle to the Crunch, it's 2 levels difference, and then D-Dog versus Sports are cool, another 2-level difference. That's a 4-level swing just between those 2 crucial characters. And now I'm seeing that the Twin Blast just got up another level here too. So definitely feeling on the back foot as the prime fight begins.
Yeah, and I mean, you call it a fight, but I think it really is just Team Ferguson versus the Prime itself. I don't think there's even going to be a contest coming through. I mean, BN Bears, they see it happening, but they know that they can't do anything, right? Maybe thinking about going for a steal, thinking about maybe if I can yoink it, but they don't want to fight it, don't even want to try. But what they are doing is they're trying to give some gold over to Blax on that Kira to try and get gold, try and get solo XP, so that maybe that Kira can bring them back into the game.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. But a Herculean effort it will be, especially just for the Kira. Sometimes not the quickest output of damage from her little crossbow. And the rest of the squad do have the purple buff online. They're going to be making good use of it here as they're pressuring this mid inhib. Looks like they're trying to split push as well, as the Terra will be just forcing the issue on this right hand side.
Yeah, and the waves are a little bit staggered, which is nice, right? Which means you can kind of just flip-flop back and forth towards tower, but not responding in time. Dino forward!
Oh man, just it didn't even matter. Obliterated was Monarch. The fly trap expended just to get everybody back to the fountain to heal up real quick. But the core alarm is blaring now as the creeps are hitting it. That is 2 inhibitors down. The writing is on the wall here, ladies and gentlemen. It's only a matter of time before Blax the Legend and crew will be tumbling down. I'm feeling like it's almost over.
Yeah, and you can see D-Dog caught in a cage again.
There it is, the fight.
There.
A huge ion strike, though, to lock some folks down. BN Bears doing all that they can to input some damage, but it's just not doing anything. Now they're going for the core, as Sports Are Cool is just hopping into the back line to prevent any regress, to mount a defense. A blink has to be expended, but the purple buff online will keep him healthy for now. Does put through the unstoppable, though, to make sure he doesn't get caught out. Looks like they'll just back off for now and do a little reset.
Yeah, really great holding the line there, right? What looked like it was kind of doomed. You're already down a player. You have 4 of empowered creeps pushing in, hitting the core. Everyone's getting caught out, but they were able to clear the waves in time. They were able to get enough damage down onto Team Ferguson and force them back before that core dies. And I think that was really good from the team to sort of tag in and out and keep tagging in, keep tagging out, keep going forward. To sort of trade the damage on their health bars, right? When someone gets low, they run back to the fountain, they heal up, someone else takes their place. But now, the Primal's already burning, already at 5k, and they're not even going to be in the pit in time.
Yeah, there's no chance they try to contest this, but they might lose their lives outside their base fort. The Stoneforge Soul expended here to try to lock some people down. A nice ion strike as well, but it is the backline getting obliterated once more. Dino is just crunching people, squishing them. His gorilla will expend their life, but it's all for a good reason, as a RGS ace is now in the building for the side of Margot Robbie and the team. They will be moving their way to the core. This game is done.
Yeah, and while that was happening, you saw Ferguson just goes forward with the support, taking that 2v2 in the backline, not even worrying about the rest of the team, right? Just making sure that even the people trying to run away aren't going to be able to get out. And pretty one-sided game, I'd say. 27.5-minute game, 24 kills to 7. That was kind of brutal.
Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, but there is more to come here for the BFC. This is a best of 3, so I'll be looking to see how Blax the Legend and squad kind of regain their mental, figure out maybe a different strategy, whether it's in the draft, whether it's maybe mixing up positions, maybe prioritizing a different member of the opposition. So we'll see what they do in the interim. But for now, folks, we'll head to a short commercial break. We'll see you on the other side.